Hi, Phil Aston here from Now Spinning Magazine with another playlist video. In this one I'm going back to 1974, and as per usual in these videos I've got far too much stuff than I really should talk about, and I'm trying really hard to make sure these videos aren't too long. So what I've tried to do, because I'm going to do multiple episodes for 1971, 1972, and they'll be the same for 74, but for this one I suddenly thought, Phil, why don't you just focus on what you knew about in early 74-ish? So I'm at school, because a lot of stuff's coming out, and people, and some of you are going to say, oh, Phil, what about this? What about that? But I didn't know it existed. Here's a good example. Scorpions, Flight to the Rainbow. I didn't know this band existed in 1974, so I'm not going to include them. UFO Phenomenon, 1974. I didn't know this band existed. Okay, I am 15. I didn't know they exist. I'm 15 years of age. I will be 16 by March 74, but, you know, we'll come to that. But Oyster Court, Secret Treaties, didn't know they existed. Some of these things weren't far off. Genesis, Lamb Lies Down. I knew this band existed. The big kids at school seemed to be always talking about bands like Genesis, but I didn't know I hadn't heard anything by them, so it's not something I was listening to. I didn't own it. Yes, Relay. Some of the big kids at school had this, but I didn't know anything about them. I'd never heard any Yes. I knew this. Some of my friends at school had this and lent it to me. I knew this was around. The cover was pretty minimalist, so it's very mysterious who was Robin Trower. But yeah, this is a classic album. It's one of the... Someone asked me the other day, Phil, can I highlight some albums that everyone should own or everyone should hear? This is one of them. Robin Trower, Bridge of Sighs. It's an absolute classic. Go for the... just ironically, this isn't planned, but go for that version with the Dolby Atmos 5.1. But anyway, the key reason why this is so special isn't just Robin Trower. It's actually Ron Isidore is great drummer as well, but he was replaced by the time we get to For It Below. But here we have James Dwyer on bass and vocals, one of the best vocalists you'll ever hear in your whole life. A man who could match Trower's feeling in his guitar playing with his voice and bass playing. Incredible. You might think that I'm going to say my favourite tracks are Two Rolling Stone, Bridge of Sighs and Day of the Eagle. Well, I guess they are. But also listen to In This Place and About to Begin. They are two of the most moving pieces of music you'll ever hear in your life. Robin Trower, produced by Matthew Fisher. Amazing album. The next one I was aware of when I was at school in 1974, and this was Wishbone Ash. And there's the rub. The album before this had seen them kind of falter a bit, and they'd lost a bit of traction after the classic that was Argus. But a lot of my friends at school had this, and it was Silver Shoes and Persephone and Fub, which I'm not going to say what that stands for, but it was Fub with that bass riff and the way it starts. It was a great album. I hope there's going to be a super deluxe version of that. The next one is a bit obvious, I suppose, from 1974, but I have to include it. This here is my original. In fact, I'm just going to pause this video because this is something I've just thought of. And just like that, I am magically returned. And the reason why I disappeared, because I wanted to get that. Because this is what I bought first. Before I bought the vinyl, I was still in the land of cassettes at this stage. And this is my original cassette from 1974. Gosh, it was taken out halfway through. The track listing is exactly the same. No, it's not. It's not actually. Gosh, I didn't realise. I've forgotten. The track listing for Burn on the cassette is not the same as the vinyl. I thought I was going to say it is the same, but it's not. Are you ready? For those of you who didn't know, because this is exciting to think that you can sequence Burn differently than what you know. It opened with Burn. Whew. Phew, thank God for that. Might Just Take Your Life. Yep. Third track in is Sail Away. Interesting. No Laid Down, Stay Down. And then the last track on side 1 is You Fall No One, which opened side 2 on the vinyl. This is so exciting, isn't it? And side 2 opens with Lay Down, Stay Down. And then what's going on here? Mistreated and A200. So we're back on track. But that was my original. Now, the reason why this album means so much to me, as you all know, is I saw them. It was the first gig I ever saw. And it just so happens, in front of me, is my tour programme from 1974 with Elf, with a support band with Ronnie James Dio, who I had no idea was going to go on to be other things. There were pictures of Richie, well, the whole band, but there it is. This was 40 pence, by the way, at the time. I also bought, which you've seen before when I did Burn in its entirety, can you see that? That was my Deep Purple on Tour 1974 button badge, which I wear most days. And I also bought, so I could learn to play like Richie, the Burn songbook. Did it have any pictures in? Yeah, it did. Had some pictures of them on the Starship. I think there's a colour picture of them. Well, there's various pictures of the band, but there is a colour picture, I think. Yeah, there is. In the middle. So yeah, Burn. It's a very important album, so I'm not going to wax too lyrical on this, but this is my original vinyl one, which I bought when I first started buying records, probably about 75 when I bought this copy. Bought it from Woolworths in Sheldon. I've got other copies now, obviously. But I still think those candles and this design is one of the best album covers ever. Probably because it's tied up emotionally with all sorts of things. But I just think the way that the smoke comes out the top here and the way that the hair and everything, I just think, although it wasn't a gatefold sleeve, and then the Japanese one comes with the lyrics, this didn't. It's on the Purple Records label. Absolutely mesmerising stuff. The next one I did know about at school, and it is Focus Hamburger Concerto from obviously 74. They all are. I bought this from Record Exchange, Fox Hollies in Acox Green. Harum Scarum was a single, but it was the Hamburger Concerto was what I really loved. The one that came after this, Mother Focus, was a real letdown, I felt. But this, Jan Ackerman, was one of my favourite guitarists. And I just love this. I'd never tire of playing this album. Moving Waves and At the Rainbow are obviously excellent. But this is the one by Focus that I play the most. Next is a band that is still one of my favourites, like the Perps. And it's the Doobie Brothers. I was actually going to find a couple of singles that I bought that went along with this, but I'm not that well prepared. I've got multiple versions of this, and I saw one on the Whistle Test around this time, and it was Pursuit on 53rd Street, I think they did, which is a great rock song. There's some great rock tracks on this. In fact, the only song I'm not that keen on is the one that was a massive hit, which is Black Water, but all the others I just absolutely love. It's one of their finest moments. I never get tired of it. I know the Captain of Me has got the edge probably, and if you actually said to me, Phil, which is my best Doobies album, Captain Me would be up there. But I have been playing this a lot. This is a new version I recently found on eBay. It's an immaculate Japanese pressing, but I've actually got a Japanese CD as well. But I think it's so inventive, and Ted Templeman's production is just incredible. 1974, I think everyone at school who was into rock music had this Bachman Turner Overdrive's Not Fragile, and it still sounds fantastic to me. It's meat and spuds rock, I guess, and I don't mean that in any way to pull it down. it's just amazing. You know, the track, Not Fragile, that riff, that this time in the world of album design where you had loads of live pictures of bands on, even though it wasn't a live album. That doesn't happen now, does it? But these tracks, Not Fragile, great. Rock Is My Life and This Is My Song is incredible. Roll On Down the Highway, You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet, which is on every motorway service station CD compilation in the world. Freewheeling, Sledgehammer, Blue Moaning, Second Hand, and You Hit Me Like a Sledgehammer on the Mercury Records label. Fantastic. This also everyone at school had, and this is the first. It's the first Queen album I ever bought. Although my favourite Queen album is still the first one, and Queen 2 I like, but I haven't got any money. It's just pocket money. So it took till this point, and this was the tipping point where I've dived in. And the reason why I dived in was basically for Brighton Rock. I wasn't sure of the vocal delivery at first because it was so up there with the falsetto. But of course it was without being in a live setting, because we were getting used to guitarists in live settings doing a bit of proto shredding. But this was on a record. And Brighton Rock is where obviously Brian May established his signature solo and sound. And it was fantastic. And also Killer Queen. I bought the sheet music for that and tried to learn to play it because I felt that the guitar solo was so inventive, so clever. But it was actually Now I'm Here is probably my favourite track off this. Great riff, an incredible riff, and almost like Chuck Berry-ish guitar solo in 2 stages on that is brilliant. Any other stuff? Yeah, Stockholm Crazy, which is like proto thrash, really. But yeah, that was a biggie. The next one was also played a lot in school at lunchtime through the school record player. When it was raining, we were allowed to go into the assembly hall, and that you could put records on. And amongst all the disco stuff that all the girls wanted and the Bay City Rollers and all that kind of stuff, sometimes some of us were brave enough to put on Budgie. And the track that we used to put on was Zoom Club. Nearly 10 minutes long, that is. Zoom Club. It ends side 1. Zoom Club has got one of those riffs. It's the Tony Burge riff where he just keeps... He kind of has a riff, and then he goes somewhere else and repeats it and repeats it. Then he goes somewhere else and repeats it and repeats it. And he comes back in a circle and repeats it and repeats it. He's a unique guitarist, Tony Burge, in the way he does this. Some people just wouldn't have the discipline to do that. They think, well, I need to do something else. But he kind of has these kind of riff recipes, a recipe of riffs. He's Tony Burge and Budgie. And Zoom Club is just immense. The way it kind of, he does that stuttering on the guitar. You've got to hear it. You've got to hear Zoom Club by Budgie, everybody. The next one was a disappointment at first, but everyone at school, hundreds of us know it's not true. A few of us were so enthralled by the first Montrose album that we'd asked Father Christmas to bring us this, Christmas 74, because we just knew it was going to be just like the first one. It's not, and so it was a bit disappointing. However, it is still up there for me in helping me to realise that Ronnie Montrose is one of my favourite guitarists of all time. Underground confused me. Connection, more so. The Dreamer got me back. Starliner, actually, The Dreamer got me back. It's almost like Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, isn't it? So yeah, that got me back. The Starliner, yeah, I'm back, but side 2. Ronnie Montrose, thank you. Sammy Hager, thank you, Ronnie, for side 2. I've Got the Fire. Outtake from the first album? Could be. Who cares? What a solo, what a riff. Space Age Sacrifice, that groove, that rhythm, that sound, the guitars at the end of as we come to the end of the song, the chords, We're Going Home. Killer guitar solo, vocal by Ronnie. Paper Money, interesting solo, interesting song, but great stuff. If Paper Money was confusing and initially disappointing, then this completely threw me. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I'd seen Deep Purple at the Birmingham Odeon in May. They were my favourite band. Burn was my favourite album. I'd never known anything like it. And then someone said to me, Phil, you know, Purple have got a new album out. I thought, they can't have done. They've only just got the other one out, and it's November. How can there be another one out already? And then it appeared. Stormbringer, 1974. The first track got me. Absolutely loved it. But after that, it was confusing, I have to say. Now, of course, love it. Love Mark III, love all of it. There's a video on the channel telling you how I got hold of this copy, because I didn't buy it at first. I actually thought they'd lost the plot. Now, of course, I'm enthralled with it. But you have to understand how different it sounded to what we expected in 1974. And the last one is actually not the last one. There is one more after this, which I'll find in a minute. It's not near me, is it? No. Alex Harvey, The Impossible Dream, 1974. Now, this was also a bit wobbly after the album Next, which I had. But over the years, oh, look at that gatefold sleeve. Over the years, it has become such a fantastic album. Sergeant Fury was very confusing. Wasn't sure what that was about at all. It was mainly the Tomahawk Kid, Great Live, and Anthem. I loved Anthem. Absolutely loved it. And there was a couple of lines, wasn't there? I think, if I remember rightly, in Anthem. Although it's true, I'm worried now, I won't be worried long. I love that line. I love the kind of attitude that had. Anyway, I want to finish on one more. So just pause and I shall return. And just like that, I'm back with the last album in my 1974 playlist. And it's the Quo. I've had quite a bit of Quo recently with the Super Deluxe live album. But this one, actually, this is my favourite Status Quo album. I've probably featured it before, haven't I? Backwater, Just Take Me. Very unusual for the Quo, I always thought. Break the Rules. Drifting Away. The Quo at their heaviest. Heavy rock. Not metal. Although there were magazines like Rock Scene that called them heavy metal. Don't Think It Matters. Brilliant riff. Fantastic. Fine, Fine, Fine. Lonely Man. Great ballad. And Slow Train. A typical Status Quo shuffle with drum solo and everything. But an absolutely amazing album. Yeah. Some people will go for Hello, won't they? Some people will go for Pile Driver, On the Level. But no, this one. What I mean, I knew a few people had this on the back of their denim jacket, actually. I'm going to put that on. That will be the one we'll finish on. Quo from 1974. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Let me know what you're playing from 1974, because you're all there, aren't you? Or what you think I should include in my next episode looking at 1974. It'd be great to hear from you. Remember, music is the healer and the doctor. So please take care, all of you. And if you can support me a bit more, just even by subscribing now for the channel and ringing that little bell thing, that will really make a difference. Of course, if you become a patron, you'll get a discount on merch. You can also come to the Facebook group, which is private for members only, and also the WhatsApp group, and also our own pub where we meet twice a month at the Now Spinning Arms. So take care, everyone, and I'll talk to you all very, very soon.